Welcome back to Future Vehicles, where we travel through time to uncover the design, innovation, and raw character of the world's most iconic automobiles. Today we're turning the clock back to 1960, to one of the most beloved sports cars ever, crafted, the Porsche 356. It's sleek, it's spirited, and it's full of character. But instead of talking about its performance, curves, or engineering, we're going to step inside and explore where drivers truly connect with this car, the interior. The 1960 Porsche 356 is more than just a classic. It's an experience. As you pull open that featherlight door, you're greeted by something refreshingly minimalistic, yet undeniably sophisticated. The cabin is intimate. Some might even call it cozy. There's no excess here, no distraction. Everything has a purpose. And that purpose? Driving. Settle into the seat and you immediately notice how different it feels compared to modern sports cars. There's no bolstering to hold you in during high-speed corners. No electric controls to adjust your position. Just leather, springs, and craftsmanship. The seats in the 356 are low-slung and covered in genuine leather, hand-stitched with a patina that tells a story if you're lucky enough to find an original example. The padding is simple, but surprisingly comfortable for its time. There's a springy resilience in the seatbacks that adds to the charm, almost like sitting in a well-worn club chair. Slide your hands across the dashboard, and you'll immediately notice the materials. In the 356, Porsche kept it classic. Metal, painted to match the exterior in many cases, runs across the dashboard. It's interrupted only by a trio of large, beautifully designed gauges that sit proudly behind the steering wheel. The centerpiece is the tachometer front and center, reminding you that this is above all a driver's car. The gauges themselves are a lesson in simplicity. White numbers, clean dials, and that unmistakable VDO lettering. On the far left, you've got your fuel gauge and oil temperature. On the right, your speedometer. It's all analog, and that's part of what makes it feel so authentic. Every flick of the needle tells you something about the car's mood. Then there's the steering wheel, a thin-rimmed, large-diameter circle of brilliance. It's a two-spoke design, wrapped in optional leather on some models, and often finished with a Porsche crest in the center. You'll notice that it feels huge by today's standards, but that's the point. With no power steering, that size gives you leverage, and more than that, it connects you to the road. Every bump, every corner, every whisper from the tires travels up through the column and into your hands. It's driving at its most raw. Look down, and you'll see a floor-mounted shifter. It's short, precise, and mechanical in feel. The throws are deliberate. None of that modern rubbery resistance. Shifting in the 356 is about rhythm. It demands attention. It rewards finesse. The clutch is light by today's standards, but communicates everything. And when you get it right, the satisfaction is unmatched. To your right, nestled into the dash, is the glove box. Small, practical, and typically containing the original owner's manual in those surviving today. The door panels are minimalist as well. They're wrapped in matching leather or vinyl depending on trim level, and feature a pull strap instead of a door handle in many versions. Just another example of Porsche's commitment to lightweight simplicity. You won't find a center console in here. No infotainment system. No climate controls aside from some basic sliders for heat and defrost. It's all analog. All tactile. The ventilation system, such as it is, consists of small levers and vents and maybe, if you're lucky, a pop-out window for some fresh air. But somehow it works. It's part of the charm. Part of the experience. Overhead, you'll find a simple headliner, usually in light-colored vinyl or fabric, stretched tight over a curved roof that gives the cabin a sense of spaciousness despite its compact footprint. Rear visibility is surprisingly good, thanks to the car's upright greenhouse and large rear glass. And speaking of space, the rear seats are more symbolic than practical. Small fold-down jump seats that might hold a child or a briefcase, but not much more. Still, they add to the character. They're a nod to versatility, even in a car that was designed for the joy of driving, not hauling passengers. The switchgear is sparse but satisfying. Knobs for lights, a pull switch for the choke, and maybe an original Blaupunkt radio if your car came equipped. But don't expect booming sound. This car sings its own soundtrack. The flat-4 engine behind you hums and growls and whirs with every touch of the throttle. That's the music Porsche intended. Even the pedals feel different, hinged from the floor and arranged close together for heel and toe downshifting. They reinforce the idea that this car was built for serious driving. You don't just sit in a 356, you become part of it. You wear it like a tailored suit. And while we're focused on the interior, it's worth mentioning the smells. There's something about the aroma of aged leather, faint gasoline, and vintage metal that transports you. It's not something you can replicate, it's not something you can build into a car today. It just happens over decades in a vehicle that was driven, cherished, and kept alive. The Porsche 356 is not luxurious by modern standards. There are no touchscreens, no digital dials, no driver assistance systems. But what you do get is something more important: connection. You feel the road, you hear the engine, you see every vibration in the mirror, every flicker of sunlight across the dash. It's a sensory experience that modern cars often filter out. Inside the 1960 Porsche 356, there's no hiding from the drive. You can't zone out, you can't disengage. And that's exactly why it's so beloved. It asks something of you. It expects you to participate. It's an interior that was crafted not for comfort, but for connection. Not for luxury, but for love of the road. When you drive a 356 even just once, you understand why it's still talked about today, why collectors chase them, why restorers preserve them, and why drivers smile every time they drop into the seat and turn that simple ignition key. So while the 1960 Porsche 356 may not scream future vehicle in the traditional sense, it laid the groundwork for the philosophy that Porsche continues to build on today: lightness, precision, driver focus, and most of all, a pure connection between car and human. That's what makes this interior so special. Not what it has, but what it leaves out. Not how it looks, but how it makes you feel. Thanks for joining us on Future Vehicles. If you enjoyed this journey into a simpler, more soulful automotive interior, be sure to subscribe, leave a like, and tell us in the comments, what's your favorite vintage car to sit inside? Until next time, keep your eyes on the road and your heart in the past.